They did it. They actually EZA'd the LR Broly trio. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Part 1 EZAs for Dokkan's 9th anniversary, the LR Broly trio being one of them, followed up by the STR Bardock and Gine and the Int Paragus and Broly. Great choices, somewhat anticipated, though I didn't expect these guys to pop in there on the sub EZAs, but I'm glad that they did. It means lots of good things are coming forward for the rest of this inning, knowing who else is up there on the featured list of the current banners. So very, very excited for this. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to hop on in, and we're going to take a look at what these guys are doing. So shout out to the Dokkan Wiki for pulling up their numbers here. So we have the movie bosses, category key 4, HP, attack, and defense, 150%. They are Fizz types. Key 4, attack and defense 100%. Pretty standard for a yellow coin LR. They almost all get this type of leader skill once they EZA. On the super attack effect, they are greatly raising attack and defense for the turn, causing colossal damage and lowering enemies' attack. They massively raise attack and defense for the turn, causing colossal damage to the enemy on their 18 key. So pretty good. I think it's going to give him a lot of extra attack and defense. They also have attack and defense 30% per key sphere obtained, and an additional attack and defense 10% per Fizz key sphere obtained. They get key 2 per key sphere obtained, and all allies key 2, and attack and defense 30 and attack 39% per AGL or STR key sphere obtained. They also get all allies key 2 and defense 39% if it is 2 or more tech or int key spheres. They also give allies key 2 and attack and defense 15% with a rainbow key sphere. Now that does stack on top of that, whichever one you get, the AGL or the tech, right? And so that's a little extra attack or defense depending on what it is that you grab. They also have an additional attack 39% when performing a super attack, and launch an additional super attack and give movie bosses or super bosses allies reduction, damage reduction 10% as long as key is 24. So that's why having that ability to get an extra key 2 there is really, really helpful, because they will easily get that 24 key. They also have a high chance of evading enemies attack up from 0, right? So now they have a baseline 50%, and they still have the complete dodge if you get 7 or more key spheres. Now if they fall below 60% HP, they can change a certain type to Fizz key spheres, or if they fall below 39, they change all key spheres to Fizz key spheres. So really, really nice, considering they are a nuker, right? That'll really help them get those extra key spheres to ensure that they get their dodge. So all in all, these guys are looking really, really good on what they're doing. And when you consider the ability that they basically become an invincible dodge tank with 7 key spheres, on top of supporting and doing everything else that they're doing, this is a really, really good EZA. I don't know that they're number 1, but they are definitely in the argument up there as one of the top LR EZAs. So very, very impressed with how they handled them. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at the others here. We have the SDR Bardock and Gine, who massively raises the attack and defense for the turn. They cause supreme damage and raise allies attack and defense 22% for 2 turns. Interesting. So I have been wondering how Dokkan was going to handle the way they set up these more recent bosses, right? From Fusion Zamos all the way up to these new Blue Zone, as you call them, bosses, right? How are they going to handle that? Well, it did seem that over the last several months, the average HP of teams has increased, which does kind of help mitigate a lot of the extra damage these bosses are doing. But now I'm starting to see more and more of these super attack effects crop up, where the units are raising the allies by X amount for 2 turns via their super attack. Now, this is a really powerful thing, right? Because the way the multiplier works, it actually adds on to the super attack effect of the units, as opposed to just generally raising the base stats. So it's a really good effect when combined, especially with other types of supports that you may have on the rotation with the unit. So actually, it's a really good effect. I'm very happy that they gave this to them. Now, they also have an attack and defense to 122%. They get an additional key 4, an additional 122%, and recover 22% HP if 50% or less from the start of turn. They also, when there's an ally who includes Goku on the team, they also have an additional attack defense 122% when attacking. When there's another bond of parent and child category ally attacking in the same turn, they also get an additional 122% when there's a movie boss category enemy, and an additional 122 and key 4 when and performs a critical hit when facing an enemy who includes Frieza. So, you know, honestly, I'm kind of okay with the conditions here, right? The thing about sub-EZAs is they tend to be hit or real big misses, but the ones that tend to be hits tend to be very, very restricted to specific categories or specific fights. And you know what? That's okay, because I mean, realistically, I think it works for sub-EZAs. You know, for a general Dokkan Fest EZA, you probably don't want that, but for a sub-EZA, having them be super niche to specific bosses, I think is very, very helpful when filling out teams, especially when it comes to beating, you know, certain mission types for a team, right? So I think this is very, very good for them, right? Especially when you consider that just about, you know, we have a brand new movie boss stage, right? And whose final fight is Frieza. So having a unit that could be dedicated to help with that fight, I think that's good. So very, very happy with what they're doing. And it looks like they're getting a lot of attack, plus the 2-turn support on their SA effect. So honestly, they're going to be pretty good. Now, they do have an active skill that also raises attack for 2 turns. Now, because it is an active skill, that won't change the condition on EZA. So it's still the same as before, which I think is just 4 turns. So honestly, pretty good. Now, we also have the Paragus and Broly, who are infinitely raising their defense, causing supreme damage and lowering attack. They have attack defense 150% and a high chance of launching an additional super attack when performing a super attack. They also reduce damage received by 26% with each super attack performed. They also, oh wow, they can actually get a lot of damage reduction there, right? Because they can do up to 3 supers in a turn. So wow, okay. They also give Pure Saiyans join forces 50% attack and defense, and give 180 attack to themselves and a high chance of launching another additional super attack when there's a Pure Saiyans or superhero enemies, which is basically the new Blue Zone fight. So honestly, pretty good. They're super niche. They're gonna work well against Pure Saiyans or superheroes, which is this new fight. And they're infinitely stacking defense. I'd say they're only, and plus that stacking 26%, right? That's 3 times. So what is that? That's 80 something damage reduction? No, 70% damage reduction. It's just over 70% damage reduction, right? So very, very impressive there, if they get all of the supers. So you know, honestly, very, very good. The only problem with them is they have like what, 2 categories? I think they're on Pure Saiyans and Join Forces, and that's it, right? Which means they don't share too many 200% teams, especially 200% teams with Broly. So that may run into some issues there, but otherwise, a half-decent sub-EZA. Now, I did want to take a look at their calcs here to see how they're looking. So this is the Broly Trio. So the Broly Trio, start of turn, does leave a lot to be desired, especially on that first turn. However, remember, they are key sphere dependent. So if you get 7 key spheres with them, right, you are looking at over 1 million defense, especially if you proc 2 extra supers. If you've got 40% support on the rotation or bonus support the turn before, you're looking at 1.1 mil on the defense. Now, none of these numbers actually matter though, because if you are playing Broly Trio, you are playing to their 7 key spheres, which means they have guaranteed dodge. The defense actually doesn't really matter here for them, but it is nice to know kind of where it would be at. On the Bardock and what is this? Oh no, this is the Paragus and Broly. Wow, 1.3. I did not anticipate that. Their max defense. So on turn 1, right, post triple super, they are just already over near 600k. With 2 turns of stacking, basically 6 SA effects, you are already over 1 million. So pretty impressive with them. Kind of figured, given that they are a defense stacker, but all of those additional attacks that he's going to be doing definitely going to help them out in the long run with that defense. So pretty impressive here, which means we have the Bardock and Gine that's left in just under 2 mil there for their max possible, 1.9. This is with a Goku ally on the team, right? We saw their passive does want a Goku ally and 40% support. So wow, I did not anticipate seeing them have that much defense. Start of turn still leaves a lot to be desired, but again, you know, as long as you can protect them, get that post SA super, they're gonna be all right. And chances are, if you're running them, you're gonna have that Goku ally as well, so you're gonna be getting that part of the passive. You know what? I'm very impressed with these EZAs. All of them are looking really good. Now, because Bardock and Gine are support, you know, the thing everybody cares about is how do they help out Gogeta Broly? Well, shout out to Luke for getting this out there. So we kind of already know what he's doing for Broly, given the fact that he has the ability to do the 2-turn active and the double super for the support. If Bardock and Gine do manage to get that on Gogeta's next turn, assuming it is the active skill turn, he's dealing 45 mil on that active skill, launching into a 22 mil super, 16, 17, 18 mil on the 4th super. Now, if you miraculously get a counter after all of that, because the enemy somehow survived, you're talking about a 38 mil count. That is a 150 mil damage turn. That's actually really, really impressive, right? I mean, you can't get much better than that. I mean, Broly's about the only other thing that comes close. So they're going to be making Gogeta do some real crazy numbers with their passive, and I can't wait to test it out. So anyways, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Under the comments down below, let me know which of these EZAs stood out to you. I kind of anticipated the Broly trio to be decent. I mean, they definitely surprised me with how they were handled, but I did expect them to be pretty good should they EZA. The one that really surprised me was the Bardock and Gine. I did not anticipate them to be as amazing as they are, and yet here they are doing wonderful things for Gogeta's team. So anyways, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.